Hello guys, so I asked you what you wanted to see next, and the majority was weird prompt art. So my sister picked out 3 prompts for me, and I am turning them into an illustration. And the prompts were allergies, ducks, and green. Those prompts are just like really weird. So yeah, I have the sketch here and I'm going to color it today. So as your girl who was allergic to ducks, I'm not even sure if that's an allergy, but like feathers, I guess. And let's get to coloring. So as you know, I drew a girl who was allergic to ducks. Not really sure if that's an allergy, but we're gonna work with it. So I want to incorporate a lot of green into her design. So I ended up making most of her clothes green. I'm just swatching the colors on the side, as you'll see me do a lot. That's what I always do to test the colors, because the big Ohuhu pack doesn't come with the swatch cards like the smaller ones do. So now I'm just coloring in her shirt green. This is one of the lightest greens I have. This pack doesn't come with very many light greens. And I'm just shading it with a bit of a darker green. This one is actually just one shade darker. You can tell by the numbers on the top. So I usually just shade with one shade or a couple shades darker, depending on the ones I have, and then, blend that out with the lighter shade. So that's what I'm doing here, and I just end up going over it one more time with the lighter shade to make it less streaky, because a lot of times Ohuhu markers are streaky if you don't do enough. And I just decided to color her shorts, like her athletic shorts, black. So I just use a dark gray, and then shade it with a darker gray, and eventually I usually do shade with a bit of black, but for the most part I don't use a whole lot of actual black when coloring black things. Yeah, this is me rambling about how I think this marker color is closer than the actual one, and the caps, and yada 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 yada. So yes, I just decided to shade with the black, and as you'll see in a minute, I am going to color in the stripes on the sides like very light green. So I'll just let you watch without me talking for a little bit. So for the skin, I was debating whether or not to give her like very pale skin or tan skin. I ended up going with this like creamy pale, which is actually number 141, I believe. So yeah, I color with the lighter shade, and again, just shade with the darker shade. A lot of people say that you need like 4 colors to shade skin, but I find that that's not always necessary. I most of the time just use 2 or 3 colors. And yeah, so I'm just coloring in her skin, and I made her hand a little crumpled into a fist. I thought that was cute because, I mean, she's allergic, she's like not happy. And her facial expression was actually really hard because I wanted to make it look like she had allergies, but I didn't want to make it look gross. Like, I tried to make her like sneezing, but it looked like disgusting and like ew, and I made her eyes watering. It looked like she was just crying. I didn't want her to look sad, just like annoyed. But yeah, I ended up just going with like her blowing her nose, and I'm just shading in with the darker color. I find that I don't usually give my characters blush necessarily. I usually just use a darker shade to give their cheeks and nose more volume. And I usually shade the knees and elbows, and then everywhere under the fabric that would get a shadow. When shading white, always just use a light gray and shade it with a colorless blender is what I find easiest, but never use a colorless blender when you're shading one color into another. Say you're shading dark green into lighter green. You don't want to use a colorless blender or it's going to create a weird texture. So when shading two colors into each other, you're always going to want to use a lighter color to blend that out. Also, sorry if this voiceover sounds muffled. I'm using my phone and not my computer because the computer is broken. So yeah. For the hair, I went with a reddish brown on top that fades into like a yellowish blonde. The blonde part ends up looking more like yellow than I wanted. This set doesn't have too many good like blondes, but I figure out if you use like a very light color like 121 and then add some more muted like browns to it, it looks mostly like a blonde. So that's usually what I do, but this one has turned out a little bit more yellow than I expected, but in the end, I think it turned out okay. I hope you guys aren't bored by now because I know this video is a lot longer than my usual videos. This one is about like 12-13 minutes long. Yeah, most of my videos are just like less than a minute long. I usually don't get very much watch time because of that. So that's why I want to make longer videos on Tuesdays, and as you know, it is Tuesday. Well, for me, it's Tuesday. Some people, it might be a different day because, like, time zones, different countries. Yeah, anyways, for me, it's Tuesday, so on my Tuesday, I'm going to be posting longer videos. So just remember that, whichever day it is for you, just remember I will be posting longer videos on this day, every week. So now I'm around to coloring the ducks. The baby duck was really cute, the little duckling, and I really like the color, so I decided to make the adult duck yellow too, even though adult ducks aren't yellow. And as you'll see, my marker starts dying right in the middle of me coloring the adult duck, so it looks kind of streaky and weird because you can't really shade with like a dry marker. So yeah, that was a little bit of a problem. And I'm not sure if you can buy like individual Ohuhu markers. Like, I know you can with Copic markers and like other types of markers. I forget the brand name. This is me with my forgetfulness, but yeah, you'll see my marker starts dying right here. So yeah. And with that, the illustration is almost done. I just decided to color in these little feathers floating around, giving off the impression that she's allergic to feathers rather than just like ducks themselves. So yeah, I just colored in these little feathers, and now I am giving it a bit of quick liner with my trusty old pen, Energel liquid gel ink pen. I use it all the time for all my liner. It's really good, and they're not actually too expensive. Like, micron pens can get pretty expensive, but this one is cheap. So if you have a budget, then I would recommend like a gel pen. But yeah, I'm just giving it some quick line art, and I'm going to go in a second and add white highlights. So that was today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this weird prompt art. So this girl is inspired by allergies, ducks, and the color green. The prompts that my sister picked out. I think it turned out nice. I really like the character. Yeah, I really liked how this drawing turned out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you next time.